All right, here we are. We're going to do a take three here. Hello, everybody. It's your boy Brandon with the Story of God comic, the ongoing attempt to translate the Torah and Tanakh and other ancient Hebrew writings into contemporary Californian. If you're here, it means that you're probably a member of the Patreon, although some of you might be from the Instagram community. I doubt a one of you is from the Facebook community, but I still be posting there too. Alrighty, I hope the audio is good. I had a hell of a time getting the audio to sound good because Windows audio is a mystery, an arcane mystery that none have ever been able to really solve, at least myself. But hopefully I sound good and you can hear me because I've done this a few times now. Well, a couple. Well, about three. It is the autumn. It is the fall. It is no longer summer. Summer has moved on, although you might not know it if you went outside because it's in the 80s today, which I don't know. I like wearing my jackets, and when I can't wear my jackets, I get upset. Anyway, all that aside, we've seen a lot transpire over the summer to now. We saw the rise of King David, mighty King David, all of his accomplishments, the battles, the lovers, the songs, the ballads, the music, and then finally, at last, the death of King David. In his bed, having his son, the one he had with Bathsheba, the second one, don't forget, God killed Solomon's older brother. But indeed, we are talking about King Solomon now. We are in Kings. And boy, what a crazy guy. So David had wanted to build a temple to God, for God, a home for God, because for all intents and purposes, God has been houseless since the beginning of our story. And don't be saying that the the ark is a house, because it's not. Okay, it's not a house. It's an ark. It's a little thing, a little box. So those of you out there in the camp of saying that the ark is a house, I'm sorry, we can agree to disagree. David could not, however. David was a warrior. David fought with his sword and his bow and his spear, and he killed many, many men. His son Solomon, however, was a wise man, a wizard. His hands were not sullied by blood, and he was a good candidate for building that temple because he was pure in the eyes of God. So, week before last, we did the construction of the temple, and then last week we did the consecration of the temple and all the festivities and whatnot that there were in getting this whole show on the road. So yeah, we have King Solomon in Israel, and you know, why is King Solomon? His original act of wisdom after he met with God in the dream world, because Solomon can only speak to God in the dream world. They can't do like Moses did, and nobody can do like Moses did. They can't get face to face, but in the dream world, they can chill. And when God asked Solomon, "What do you want?" he said he wanted a wise heart. Bam, wise heart. I hope that didn't clip too loud. He gave him a wise heart, and right away he went out and he came up with the whole idea of if there's a custody dispute for a child, you just cut the baby in half, and whoever doesn't want that to happen is probably the mother. It's not the wisest. It's not the wisest thing for me. I don't think anyone wants to see a baby cut in half, whether it's yours or not. So that story always to me seems a little bit weird. But it was ancient times. We're talking BCE, and a lot of wise conventions that we have today were unconventional, and in fact, not even established. They probably, for example, they probably. I mean, it's wise to wear a seatbelt, but they didn't have cars. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just saying it was at the time it was revolutionary wise wisdom It was revolutionary wisdom, this whole cut the baby in half thing. Solomon had a wise heart, and he was completely different from his father. Therefore, he was able to build the temple. Now, there's a lot of writing and fascination with Solomon over the years, over the millennia, the centuries. So one one of the first writings attributed to Solomon is the Song of Songs, aka the Song of Solomon. Also, the inspiration for a Toni Morrison novel, but this has nothing to do with that. It's basically like an erotic poem. It's not like really erotic. Like it's not even close to. I mean, it's not erotica. It's a lot of. You got eyes like some flowers. Your reminds me of. Mouth reminds me of a nice little, a little dumpling. Your teeth are pretty. You got your hair's like a tree. When you walk, it sounds like some bells. You got you smell good. Like it's a lot of that, and it goes on and on and on. And they talk about your bed is like the woods, and I'm in the forest, and you know what I mean. It's not erotica really, but that is the Song of Songs. It's got nothing to do with God really. It's got nothing to do with you know prayer or laws. It's just like talking about how like people fall in love and how good that is and how you can compare sexually sexual things with other things in metaphorically. That's it. That's what it is. It's not in the Bible, but it is part of the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, and I think why not leave that in there? I don't know why not. Nothing wrong with doing it. Nothing wrong with getting it on. So, the Song of Solomon. There is also the Testament of Solomon. Now, the Testament of Solomon was originally written in Greek, which would put it, if it or originating from Israel, that would put it in the time of the Seleucid kings, all the way up through to the time of Rabbi Jesus Christ, and Testament of Solomon is basically the story you might know, you might have heard. I've alluded to it a few times in comments on the videos. Solomon praying at the temple to God, and God sends Archangel Michael down, and Michael gives Solomon a magical ring, and that ring is the seal of Solomon, bearing the sigil of God, which is the pentagram, which people might be surprised nowadays to think of a pentagram being associated with God, because it's kind of nowadays it's more for like Satanists or metal headbanging folks or pagans or Wiccans or whatever the hell. But actually, it legit was a symbol of Israel, and it was the seal of God, and it was the seal of Solomon. And Solomon used this seal to enslave demons and subjugate them, learn their names, and force them to do his will. And in the Testament of Solomon, he enslaves Beelzebub himself, who formerly was one of the great angels, maybe even the greatest angel. Beelzebub helped Solomon build the temple by giving him demons. So in the Testament of Solomon, a big demon work crew gets working on building God's temple. It still takes him 7 years to finish it. So, maybe not top-notch demons, but suitable, good enough, I guess. And yeah, so that is the Testament of Solomon. The Testament of Solomon ends with Solomon agreeing he wants to get it on with a couple of ladies, and they all like, you gotta worship Moloch. We like Moloch. Solomon's like, well, if that's what it's gonna take, then okay, I will. And he does. He worships Moloch. whatever that entails. Child sacrifice, from what I understand, but I don't think that's explicitly in there. But long story short, Solomon worships Moloch, gets that booty. God's like, "Oh, Solomon, why?" And then God departs from Solomon. Solomon has no power with God, and he becomes a big joke. Everyone laughs at him, and he's like, "Don't do what I did." So there is a moral at the end of it all. Don't worship Moloch, which I think it might be pseudepigraphical. It might, which is like it may be. Well, there's no way that Solomon wrote it because it's written in Greek. Although Solomon may have spoken Greek, it is not believed to be written by Solomon, is what I mean to say. And but in the end, don't worship Moloch, and I think that's a message that God would get behind. The other pseudepigraphical text associated with Solomon is the Key of Solomon. This is a grimoire, a 2-volume grimoire, the first of which is various rites and techniques and ways to bind demons, to summon, to bind, to name, to employ demons. The second text is a lot of about purifications and various purifications you can do to yourself, or for others. It's basically magic books, and that is the Key of Solomon. So, Song of Solomon may have been written by Solomon. The other two, probably not. However, Solomon is tangled up in some serious esoterica, and that continued all the way through into the time of the Knights Templar, who had a real fascination with the Temple of Solomon and these works of Solomon. And I don't know. They say they built a replica of the temple somewhere in Scotland, but I don't know. I've never seen it. Nobody Scottish ever talks about it. They talk about Loch Ness Monster a lot more. But anyway, the Templars, and then of course the Freemasons. Solomon's always been a major figure, a wise man, and a king, a wise wizard king, a wizardly king is Solomon. So this is where we're at. I'm not going to give you any spoilers as to Solomon's fate and the future of Solomon, but going through kings, we're going to be getting into some of the other more obscure kings, Rehoboam, among them, Ahab, all of these lesser-known people whose names you might recognize, but they're not like big superstars. They're not like Samson's or even Samuel's, or certainly David's or Solomon's, Moses's, Isaac's, Abraham. We're getting into season 8, season 9. And we're going to get some more obscure stuff. It's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot more things that you don't really learn about, because I believe the Bible, as it was taught to me, kind of skipped from Solomon. And I mean, this is just the curriculum that I had for learning the Bible. It kind of just goes from Solomon and the wisdom with the two women and the baby. And it's almost like it cuts forward to Daniel and the lion's den. That's just my upbringing, my understanding of things. But anyway, this is going on a little bit longer than I thought. But hey, thanks for your continued patronage. Sorry things aren't as fast and furious as they once were, but I am going to be looking to do more once the winter is over and the new year comes, and hopefully have more time to turn out like maybe 2 or 3 a week. I don't think I'm going to go back to 5. I don't know if I said that because I've recorded this a couple times now, but maybe 2 or 3 comics a week for the future. However, going into winter, I'm going to be working quite a bit on the not fun. It is actually, I have a ton of fun, but the more serious making money for other people who are exploiting my labor, which is great. I love it. I couldn't ask for more. Anyway, thank you for being here. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe. and ring that bell for notifications every 6 months when I get around to recording another video. I hope the audio was okay. Don't forget, Raid Shadow Legends allows you to have a good Raid Shadow Legends is a game for your telephone that will allow you to have the champion you always dreamed of and face other people with battles. Raid Shadow Legends, a great game. And if you buy it, send Raid Shadow Legends a note that says you heard about it here, because I would love to have them as a sponsor for the Story of God's YouTube channel. And now I'm going to do some work on capturing a thumbnail for the video. I'm going to do a nice thumbnail this time. How's that? Yeah. Or, hold on. I like that. I think we might go with that, guys. I do love you, and I will see you the next time.